what's going on, guys? Welcome in the Vikings Now by Chat Sports. My name is Patrick Seatman, and welcome in. Coming up on today's show, we're going to be diving into the entire playoff picture, going over how the Vikings can win the NFC North, going over their playoff chances right now, and they're actually pretty damn solid. And then also just going over the NFC playoff standings. But welcome in, everybody. Let's just jump right into it. Let's take a look at the NFC playoff picture right now. Listen, I'm not saying the 7 teams that you guys see on screen right now are for sure locks to all make the playoffs, but I would be very, very shocked if another team slips in here. Maybe the Falcons in the NFC South or whoever ends up winning that division, but the 7 logos you see on your screen here are most likely going to be the 7 playoff teams. And how it stands right now, the Vikings are 6-5, holding down that last wild card spot with teams like the Packers, Rams, Falcons, Bucks, all in the hunt at 4-6. Commanders 4-7. Don't really care about the Giants, Bears, Cardinals, or Panthers. But Eagles have the top seed right now, and actually the Lions are 8-2 with the 2nd seed. But New York Times, they put out a bunch of these percent chances for each NFL team. And right now, the Vikings do have a 74% chance to make the playoffs. To win the NFC North, they do have a 6% chance. And then they do have a less than 1% chance to still get a first-round bye. But, hey, you're saying there's a chance. They might be able to pull that off. Super Bowl, also less than 1% chance. Probably agree with that as well. But that's how the New York Times, how it shakes out on their end. But I do think it's important. We got to talk about other teams in the NFC playoff picture and how the competition is shaking out this week. This game for Vikings fans, I cannot undervalue or understate how important this game is if the Vikings do want to win the division. I understand. Lions are at home. This is 11:30 a.m. Thanksgiving game. They're 7.5-point favorites. They should win that game. That game is weird every single year on Thanksgiving. I am the biggest Packers fan this Thursday morning while we are pre-gaming Thanksgiving dinner. I can't stress enough how big of a game that is. But also Seahawks-Niners. Seahawks are 6.5-point underdogs versus the Niners. It would be nice if the Vikings could jump them, maybe get to that 6th spot. Saints-Falcons. Doesn't really matter for the Vikings, but you would want one of those teams to kind of pull away with the division and the other one to kind of, go into, full-on tank mode for the draft. And then the Cowboys. Obviously, I don't think the Vikings could catch the Cowboys for the 5th seed in the wild card, but they're 10-point favorites versus Commanders on Thanksgiving as well. But this is the number 1 game. Got to have the Packers beat the Lions. And actually, the Vikings could have a strong chance to win the NFC North. And, hey, if you guys want the Vikings to win the NFC North, let's support the team. Let's show our purple pride. Go down there, like today's video. It would really help us out here at Chat Sports. Show some love to your Minnesota Vikings. This is a resilient group. Go show them some love. Give them that extra support and like today's show. Let's look at the rest of the schedule here, how it shakes out for the Vikes. Schedule's pretty favorable, and I actually think it's a pretty fun schedule. You got the Bears this Monday Night Football. That's going to be just a brutal game to watch. Anytime it's Vikings-Bears on a primetime stage, you know that game is going to be 17-13, and it's going to come down to just some fluky plays in the 4th. Then you're in Las Vegas versus the Raiders week 14, and then week 15. That game got a whole lot easier in Cincinnati. Instead of Joe Burrow, you're going to be going Browning at quarterback. And then here it is, the Lions. 2 of the last 3 weeks. You get the Lions in week 16 at home. Then you go to Detroit last week of the year. Can't wait to watch those games, man. And then also New Year's Eve versus the Packers, Sunday Night Football. Game might get flexed out, but as of right now, it stands at that. And, hey, right now, let's just say the Vikings. You got the Bears and the Raiders. I think the Vikings are better than both those teams. The Vikings beat both of them. They'll actually have a 91% chance to make the playoffs, which makes sense. I mean, you would get to 8-5 then on the season. And I think the Vikings, I think it's almost not a lock that they make the playoffs this year, but it's really looking likely because the rest of the NFC, there's a lot of bad football teams. But I don't want to just talk playoffs. How can the Vikings win the NFC North? Do they have a chance? Because right now, New York Times has them at 6%. That's coming up here in just a second. But first, guys, I got to tell you about our proud sponsor on today's show, Prize Picks. If you guys head to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS, you'll get a first deposit match up to $100. You may be asking, what is Prize Picks? Well, it's daily fantasy, and it's made easy. All you do is pick 2 or more players, choose more or less on some projected stat types. And this was actually the lineup I rolled with on Monday Night Football. Ended up losing this lineup. I had Mahomes more than 285.5 passing yards. A.J. Brown thought he was going to have a slower night at less than 81.5. Then I had Jalen Hurts more than 38.5 rushing yards. That is how you play. That is what a lineup will look like. But you guys should get involved in on the fun. Head to prizepicks.com CLNS and use that code CLNS, and you guys will get your first deposit match up to $100. So like I said, the Vikings do have a 6% chance to win the NFC North as it stands right now. Brutal losses this week. The Bears were up late. I think they're up 2 scores with like under 5 minutes left against the Lions. Lions ended up coming back and winning. Obviously, the Vikings did collapse on Sunday night versus the Broncos. This would have been way higher. This might have been around 18%, I'm guessing, if both those games went in a different direction. But right now, it is at 6%. And I do want to say this. If the Vikings do have any chance, and this is what we're basing this off of, we're going to go into a bunch of different chances in all, but like I'm basing all of this off of if the Vikings do sweep the Lions. If you drop one game versus the Lions, you really don't have a chance. This is all based off of you need to sweep the Lions. That is the number one thing that the Vikings need to do to win the North. And then, hey, also if the Vikings just win the rest of their football games this year, you are going to win the North. Like, you do control your destiny if the Vikings do win out. Pretty cool thing because, honestly, like this schedule, it would not be the craziest thing in the world if the Vikings ripped off 6 in a row. I mean, we got the one-score luck last year. I mean, the Vikings are a middle-of-the-pack football team. What if they just start winning a bunch of these one-score games again? And they definitely do have a chance. But if they do win out, control your own destiny, you will be NFC North champions once again this season. Hey, I mean, it's the Bears, Raiders, Bengals with a backup QB, and the Lions twice. And then also who's the last opponent? Packers, too. Packers are a bad football team as well. And then, listen, let's just say you do sweep the Lions. This is your other kind of chances with your record over the last 6 games. If you go 5-1 and you sweep the Lions, you got a 90% chance to win. So let's just say you drop one in Cincinnati, you drop one in Las Vegas, you'd still have a 90% chance to win. Sweep the Lions and go 4-2. Well, you still have a pretty damn good chance on there. So you drop one to maybe the Bears and the Bengals or something like that. 3-3, somehow you would still have a chance there at 20%, but then also 2-4. You're probably not going to win if you lose every other game besides beating the Lions. But listen, I really do think the Vikings can go 4-2 the rest of the season. I think this Bears game right now, Vegas, the bookmakers have the Vikings favored by 3.5. It's going to be a tight one. I understand those games are always ugly, but I do think the Vikings can win that. In Las Vegas and in Cincy, that's going to be a tough matchup. I think the Vikings will probably split those 2 games. And then I think the Vikings, again, if you want to go 4, or if you do go 4-2 the rest of the year and you beat the Lions twice, you will have a really good chance. But again, it's a 6% chance right now. It's really not looking too likely. But I also want to get to this point. With the schedule being kind of favorable over the last 6 weeks, the Vikings got some dogs coming back. I mean, we know the Vikings have been affected by injuries, probably worse than any other football team in the league this year. Obviously, with the biggest one being the Kirk Cousins, and you missed Jefferson for the last 6 weeks now at this point. But I mean, listen, you got some dogs coming back, and these are the 4. Jefferson, he's probably going to be back. I'll get into that in a second, but I don't expect him to play versus the Bears this Monday. Jordan Hicks, linebacker, he was on IR. He'll be coming back in 3 weeks or so. Marcus Davenport, kind of MIA watch. I don't know when he will be coming back, but he is eligible to get off IR this week, so keep your eyes out on him. Caleb Evans, our young up-and-coming corner. He's been in and out of the lineup, but he is getting healthy. So you got 4 real playmakers and 3 on the defensive side of the football that are coming back. Vikings getting healthy at the right time. Kind of fires me up a little bit, but I'll ask you guys. Let me know your thoughts. Do you think the Vikings, even though it's only 6% chance right now, can the Vikings still win the NFC North? Y for yes, N for no, down in the comment section. I'm really pissed about that just Bears-Lions game. I can't believe they blew that. I can't believe the Bears let us down like that. Maybe if the Bears would have won that game, maybe the Vikings would have had a little more locked in on Monday night, but obviously who knows. But can the Vikings win the North? Y for yes, N for no. Do want to close today's show out. Just give you my final thoughts here. Justin Jefferson. I want to see him play more than anybody. He is my favorite player to watch in all of sports right now. I want to see the gritty going down in the end zone on Monday night, but I do think the Vikings should rest Justin Jefferson. You do have the bye the next week. Think we can still beat the Bears without 18. Rest him. You've already missed the last 5 or 6 weeks. Let's just make it 7. Get fully healthy for when we do go to Vegas, square off with another great receiver in the league in Davante Adams, and be fully healthy for those last 5 games. That's what I would do. I know he probably wants to get out there and play. Shut him down for this week. Give him those extra 2 weeks to just get that hammy all good to go. But, guys, thank you guys so much for watching today's show. I really do appreciate it. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. I'm just going live for the game here on Monday night versus the Bears in a little bit. So make sure you guys are subscribed. See you guys next time. Let's go Vikes.